Dinner used to be my favorite part of the day. Tonight, it just felt off. Lena set the table, humming under her breath. Daniel sat across from me, grinning like he always did. Man, this food smells amazing, he said, reaching for the roasted chicken. Lena laughed softly. Of course it does. I made it, he winked. You've still got the best hands in the kitchen. I smiled, but something inside me twisted. Easy there, Daniel, I said. She might start charging you per compliment. Lena chuckled, though her eyes didn't meet mine. Maybe I should. We ate. We talked, or rather, they did. I mostly listened, watching their faces, the way her smile lingered a little too long on him, the way he leaned in when she spoke. When dinner ended, Daniel patted my shoulder. You've been quiet, bro. Everything good? Yeah, I lied. Just tired from work. Still running that empire, huh? He said. You always were the overachiever. Lena laughed again. He's just focused. That's what makes him successful. Focused, right. Focused enough to miss the signs. After Daniel left, Lena gathered the dishes. You were awfully quiet tonight, she said. I had nothing to add, I replied. Since when do you need something to add? You're usually the one keeping conversations alive. I looked at her. You seem to manage fine without me. She froze, plate in hand. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, I said quickly, forcing a smile. I'm just tired, she sighed. You've been distant lately, I almost laughed. Have I? Yeah, she said softly. It's like you're somewhere else. I wanted to say you are too. But I bit my tongue. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in the dark, staring at the city lights. My phone buzzed on the table, Lena's phone, actually. She'd left it there while showering. The screen lit up with a message, Daniel. Can't stop thinking about tonight. My stomach dropped. I stared at the words until they blurred. Then another message came, Daniel, same time tomorrow? I heard the shower running. The sound of water hitting tile. My heart pounded so hard I thought she might hear it. I picked up the phone, hands shaking. I wanted to throw it, smash it, pretend I hadn't seen anything, but I couldn't look away. There were more messages, weeks worth, hidden under a contact name I'd never questioned before. D, I scrolled until I saw it clearly. Her words. Lena. He suspects nothing. I'll come up with an excuse. My chest tightened. My breath came out ragged. I wanted to scream, to wake her, to demand the truth, but instead I sat there in silence. When she came out wrapped in a towel, she smiled faintly. Still awake? Yeah, I whispered. Just thinking. About work again? Something like that. She came closer, resting her hand on my shoulder. You should sleep. You've been overworking yourself. Her touch used to calm me. Now it made my skin crawl. I'm fine, I said quietly. She frowned. Ethan, talk to me. What do you want me to say, Lena? That you're okay. I looked up at her, at the woman I'd trusted more than anyone. I'm not sure I am, she blinked. Did something happen? Not yet, I said, forcing a small laugh. But maybe soon, her brow furrowed. You're scaring me. Don't be scared, I murmured. Just honest, she hesitated. About what? I wanted to say Daniel. I wanted to say I know. But I couldn't, not yet. Not without being sure. Forget it, I said finally. Go to sleep. She studied my face for a moment, then nodded slowly. Good night, Ethan. Night. When the lights went out, I lay there listening to her breathing. Steady, peaceful. I stared at the ceiling, my mind spinning. How long had it been going on? Weeks? Months? Years? Every memory replayed itself. Every laugh, every touch, every lie I hadn't noticed. I thought back to our wedding day, the promises, the tears in her eyes. Forever, she'd said. You're my only one. I turned to look at her sleeping beside me. Her hair fell across her face, her lips slightly parted. She looked innocent, but I knew better now. My phone buzzed again, another message. I reached for it without thinking. Daniel. Miss you already. My throat tightened. I stared at the glow until it faded into blackness. I got up quietly, went to the kitchen, and poured a glass of water. My hands were trembling. I could hear my own heartbeat echoing in my ears. Don't do anything stupid, I whispered to myself. Not yet, because part of me still wanted to believe there was another explanation. That maybe somehow I was wrong. That maybe Daniel meant nothing. But deep down, I already knew. The people I trusted most were the ones holding the knife, and I had just felt the first cut. I shouldn't have followed them. I told myself that all day. But when Lena said she was meeting a client at the Sterling Hotel, something inside me snapped. The city lights blurred as I parked across the street. Rain tapped against the windshield. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Then I saw them. Daniel's arm brushed against hers as they walked through the glass doors, smiling like nothing in the world could touch them. "Tell me this isn't real," I whispered. But it was. Every step they took together confirmed it. For a while, I just sat there watching. Then I got out of the car. My feet felt heavy, my chest hollow. I followed them inside like a ghost haunting his own life. They sat at a corner table, candles between them. Her laugh, my wife's laugh, echoed across the room. Daniel reached over, touched her hand. She didn't pull away, my throat burned. I turned and left before I did something I'd regret. Outside, the air was cold, slicing through me like truth. I leaned against the wall and slid down until my knees hit the pavement. I stayed there for an hour. Maybe 2? I don't even remember driving home. When the door opened, Lena's voice startled me. "Ethan, what are you doing awake?" I stood in the hallway, drenched, shaking. "Did you have fun?" Her smile faded. "What?" "At the hotel," I said. "Was it worth it?" Her eyes widened. "You followed me?" "I followed you too," I said bitterly. "Tell me, Lena, how long?" She froze, lips trembling. "Ethan, it's not what you think." "Don't insult me." Tears gathered in her eyes. "You were never here. I felt alone." "And you fixed that with him?" I shouted. She flinched. "I didn't plan it." "Of course you didn't," I said. "You just fell into his arms one night and forgot we were married." "Stop yelling," she cried. "You don't understand." "Then help me," I said, stepping closer. "Make me understand." Her silence was louder than any answer. The door opened behind her. Daniel stood there. My brother, his face pale, eyes darting between us. "Ethan," he said quietly. "Let me explain," I laughed, a broken, bitter sound. "Explain." "What could you possibly say?" "I didn't mean to hurt you," he said. "It just happened." "It just happened?" I took a step forward. "You slept with my wife and it just happened." Lena tried to hold me back. "Please stop," I shook her off. "No, you stop. Both of you." Daniel's voice cracked. "I love her, Ethan." The world went silent. I stared at him, waiting for him to take it back. He didn't. Lena's face said everything. "You love her," I repeated slowly. "My wife." "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Sorry?" I laughed again, emptily. "You think sorry means anything now?" Lena reached for my hand. "Ethan, please listen." I stepped back. "Don't touch me!" She broke down then, sobbing. "I never wanted it to be this way." "Then what did you want, Lena?" "A secret life? My brother and my ring?" "Stop twisting it," she shouted through tears. "You stopped caring long before he came along." "I stopped caring?" I said, stunned. "Everything I built, every hour I worked, it was for us." Daniel tried to speak again, but I cut him off. "You don't get to talk." He lowered his head. "I made a mistake." "No," I said quietly. "You made a choice." The room felt smaller, suffocating. Every wall, every picture, every memory suddenly felt like a lie. Lena sobbed harder. "Where are you going?" "Away," I said. "You can't just leave." "I already did," I whispered. Daniel took a step forward. "Ethan, please!" I stopped him with a glare. "You took everything from me. Don't ask me for forgiveness." He nodded slowly, guilt written all over his face. "I don't expect it." For a long time, no one spoke. The only sound was Lena's quiet crying. I looked at her one last time. The woman I once believed I'd grow old with. "You broke something that can't be fixed," I said. "And someday you'll feel what I feel tonight." She reached out again, desperate. "Ethan, don't do this." "We can fix it, please." I shook my head. "You already did this." "You and him," her voice cracked. "Where will you go?" "I don't know," I said. "Anywhere that isn't here." I grabbed my jacket from the chair. My hands were trembling, but my voice stayed calm. "You two can figure out what's next." "I'm done." Daniel stepped toward me again, regret heavy in his eyes. "Ethan, I swear I didn't plan this." Stop," I said. "You don't get to say my name anymore." He froze, eyes wet. Lena covered her face with her hands. I walked to the door. Every step felt like a lifetime. My hand lingered on the handle. I turned once more. "You were my brother," I said softly. "And she was my world," neither of them replied. Maybe there was nothing left to say. Outside, the rain hadn't stopped. I stood under it, letting the cold soak through my clothes. The streetlights blurred into streaks of gold and gray. My chest hurt, but I couldn't cry. Not yet. I looked back once, saw their silhouettes through the window. Two people I no longer knew. "Goodbye," I whispered. Then I walked away from both of them. No revenge, no closure, just pain. The apartment smelled like dust and loneliness. I didn't bother unpacking much, just a mattress, a chair, and a half-broken lamp. Most nights I sat by the window staring at the city. Cars moved like veins of light, people laughing somewhere far away. I wondered how the world kept going when mine had stopped. I barely ate. I barely slept. Every sound reminded me of something. Lena's laugh, Daniel's voice, the way life used to feel normal. One morning, someone knocked on my door. I ignored it. The knocking came again, louder this time. "I know you're in there," a woman's voice said. "Open up, or I'll keep knocking till my arm gives out." I sighed and opened the door. An elderly woman stood there holding 2 mugs of coffee. "Morning," she said cheerfully. "I'm Mrs. Gray. I live next door. You look like a man who forgot how to live." I blinked at her. "Excuse me?" She handed me a mug. "Coffee. Don't worry, I didn't poison it. Yet. I don't usually drink coffee, eat breakfast, talk to humans." She smiled knowingly. "I've been watching you mope for 3 weeks. It's getting depressing for me." I didn't know whether to laugh or slam the door. "I've had a rough time, clearly." She sipped her coffee. "You got that hollow stare people get after life kicks them in the teeth." "Something like that." "Well," she said, walking past me like she owned the place. "Sitting in the dark won't fix it." I frowned. "You just walk into strangers' apartments?" She shrugged. "You don't look dangerous. Just sad." She looked around the room unimpressed. "This place could use light." "I like the dark," I said. "No one likes the dark," she replied. "They just stop remembering what light feels like." I didn't respond. She placed the coffee on my table. "You got a name? Ethan? Well, Ethan, tomorrow I'm bringing you breakfast. You can say no, but I'll still show up." I chuckled quietly. "You're persistent." "Old age makes you bold," she said with a wink. "See you at 8. When she left, the silence returned, but it felt different. The next morning, she knocked again. "Still alive in there?" I opened the door. "Barely," she held up a paper bag. "Bagels." "Don't make me eat both," I let her in. We sat by the window while she talked about everything, her late husband, her garden, her cat that hated everyone. I barely spoke, but she didn't seem to mind. At one point, she looked at me and said, "So who broke you?" I froze. "What makes you think someone did?" "Because I've been there," she said softly. "You've got that look, the kind that comes from losing something you thought was permanent." I swallowed hard. "My wife, my brother. She raised a hand gently. "Say no more. Betrayal hurts worst when it comes from people you love." I looked away. "I can't stop thinking about it." "Then don't," she said. "Think about surviving it instead." I stared at her. "Surviving?" "Yeah," she said simply. "Revenge, regret, they're heavy. Survival's lighter. You'll breathe easier carrying that." I didn't answer. I just stared at my hands. "Listen," she continued. "Pain doesn't vanish overnight. But if you let it, it'll teach you something valuable. Who you are without them." Her words lingered long after she left. That night, I tried something new. I went for a run. The air was cold, the streets quiet, my lungs burning with every step. For the first time in months, the pain felt like progress. When I got back, I found a note under my door. "You look less dead already. Keep going. Mrs. Gray." I smiled for the first time in a long time. The days started to change after that. Not dramatically, just small things. I showered before noon. I cooked instead of ordering takeout. I even opened the curtains once or twice. Every morning she'd knock. "Coffee's ready," she'd say, and I'd answer, "Be right there." One morning I told her, "You don't have to keep checking on me." "I know," she said. "But I want to." "Why?" "Because someday," she said, "you'll do the same for someone else." That stuck with me. A few weeks later, she noticed my laptop open on the table. "You work?" "Used to," I said. "I ran a small software company. What happened?" "Life happened," she tilted her head. "Then maybe it's time to happen back." That night, I reopened my company emails. I had nearly 100 unread messages, missed calls, partnership offers, and one from an investor named Collins asking if I'd reconsider our last deal. I stared at it for a long time before typing 2 words. "Let's talk." It wasn't much, but it was something. When I told Mrs. Gray the next day, she smiled proudly. "See? Told you weren't done." "I'm not sure I'm ready." "No one ever is," she said. "But that's what makes starting brave." I laughed softly. "You sound like a therapist." "I'm just an old woman with too much time," she said. "But I know this. You're not broken, Ethan. You're rebuilding." Her words hit deeper than she knew. That night, I sat by the window again, watching the city lights. For the first time, they didn't feel so far away. I whispered to myself, "Not for Lena, not for Daniel, just for me." And for the first time in months, I believed it. I threw myself into work like it was oxygen. Sleep didn't matter. Food didn't matter. All that mattered was building something that couldn't be taken from me again. The office was small, just 2 desks, a coffee machine, and a wall that always needed paint. But it was mine. When Ava Lynn walked in that first morning, I didn't expect much. She was quiet, reserved, dressed in a gray blazer that looked a size too big. She set her laptop on the table and said, "You must be Ethan." "That's me," I said. "You're the new strategist?" "Marketing strategist," she corrected softly. "You emailed me at 3 in the morning. I figured anyone working that late either has passion or a death wish." "Maybe both," I said with a small smile. She studied me for a moment. "You look like someone who's lost everything." Accurate observation. "Then you've got nothing left to lose," she said simply. That's the best place to start. Something about her calmness cut through my walls. "You really think this company is worth saving?" She nodded. "You've got something here, Ethan. It's buried under pain and bad luck, but it's worth saving." Those words stuck. Days blurred into weeks. Ava worked quietly but relentlessly. Emails, campaigns, pitch decks. I'd find her in the office before sunrise, humming softly while reviewing analytics. One night I asked, "Why do you work so hard?" She smiled faintly. "Because I see potential, and because you remind me of someone who forgot how to believe in themselves." Maybe I did. "Then start small," she said. "Believe in the work. The rest will follow." Slowly, it did. We built new systems, reached out to clients I thought I'd lost forever. When investors called, Ava handled them with quiet confidence that I envied. One day, during a presentation, a client said, "You've changed. Ethan, you sound like a man who knows where he's going." I laughed lightly. Maybe I finally do. After the meeting, Ava said, "See, told you. People don't invest in ideas, they invest in conviction." "Where'd you learn that?" "My father used to say it," she replied. "He built his business from nothing too, until he forgot why he started." "And you?" I asked. "Why'd you start?" She looked down. "Because I didn't want to end up like him." There was a quiet honesty in her that disarmed me. I didn't have to pretend around her. Months turned into a year. Our team grew from 2 people to 12. The company that once barely paid rent now signed contracts worth millions. Sometimes, I'd catch Ava looking at me across the office and saying, "You're smiling again." "Feels strange," I'd admit. "Get used to it," she'd reply. One night, we were the last 2 in the office. She sat on the floor surrounded by printouts. I handed her coffee. "You ever stop working?" I asked. "Do you?" She shot back with a grin. "Touché." She leaned back against the wall. "You know what I like about this place?" "What?" "It feels alive. Like it wants to grow. Like you want to grow." I looked around. Yeah, maybe it does. By the second year, our company had become something real. Investors who once ignored my calls now competed for meetings. Articles called us the quiet comeback. One evening, I found Ava staring at a new contract on my desk. "This one's big," she said. "Partnership proposal from Meridian Dynamics." "Sounds promising." "It is," she said. "They want to sign by the end of the month." I picked up the folder and flipped through it. "You think we're ready for this scale?" She nodded confidently. You are, I hesitated. We, she smiled. Fine, we are. For the first time in years, I felt something close to pride, not the hollow kind that fades after applause, but the quiet kind that comes from rebuilding brick by brick. When the partnership meeting finally came, I wore the same suit I'd worn the day my old life fell apart. It felt poetic, like closing a circle. Ava leaned over before we went inside. Nervous? Always. Good, she said. Means you care. Inside the conference room, the air smelled of leather and ink. Papers rustled, pens clicked, signatures danced across pages. I shook hands with executives whose names carried more weight than mine ever would. The lead representative smiled. We're excited to work with Hale Dynamics, he said. Likewise, I replied. He slid the final document toward me. Our CFO handled the legal adjustments. You'll see his name on the final page. I nodded, pen in hand. Perfect. Then I looked down. There it was, Daniel Hale, CFO. My heart stopped. For a second, the room tilted. Ava noticed. Ethan? I forced a breath. Just give me a second, her voice lowered. What's wrong? I turned the page toward her. That name. She read it quietly, then looked up. You know him? Yeah, I said bitterly. Better than I'd like to. The executives waited. I straightened my back and signed anyway. As the pen left the paper, I felt a chill crawl through me. The past I'd buried was clawing its way back. Outside the meeting room, Ava caught my arm. Talk to me. He's my brother, I said flatly. She blinked. The one, yes. She didn't ask more. She just said, then we face it, together. Her calmness grounded me. I exhaled slowly. I thought I'd escaped him. Maybe you weren't meant to, she said. Maybe this time you'll face him as the man you've become, not the one he broke. I looked at her, the woman who'd believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You really think I'm ready for that? I know you are, she said. I smiled faintly. Then I guess it's time to find out. As we walked out of the building, city lights reflected on the glass doors, bright, sharp, alive. For the first time, I didn't see failure in my reflection. I saw resilience, but deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something I wasn't ready for, and everything I'd been waiting for. When Daniel walked into the conference room, my pulse froze. The years hadn't been kind to him, dark circles under his eyes, a stiffness in his shoulders that hadn't been there before. He looked smaller somehow. Ethan, he said quietly, almost unsure if he should speak my name. I didn't know it was you. I leaned back in my chair, my voice steady. You should have known. You signed the documents, he swallowed. The deal came through a third party. I didn't see the client list until this morning. How convenient, I said. A silence stretched between us, thick and sharp. Then I heard it, her voice. Ethan? Lena stepped forward, holding a stack of folders like they might shield her from me. Her hair was shorter now, streaked with gray, her smile hesitant and tired. You look different, she said softly. I am, I replied. Ava, sitting beside me, looked from them to me. Old friends? She asked, her tone curious but cautious. I forced a small smile. Something like that. Daniel cleared his throat. Ethan, I didn't expect this meeting to turn personal. But before we start, I need you to know I regret how things ended. Ended? I said. You mean how you ended them? Lena flinched. We were wrong, she whispered. Both of us, I leaned forward. Wrong doesn't even begin to cover it. Ava's hand brushed my arm gently, grounding me. We can discuss the proposal later, she offered diplomatically, but Daniel shook his head. No, I need to say this. I met his eyes, those same eyes that once laughed beside me, that once looked at me like I was the world's biggest fool. Say it then, he took a breath. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was stupid. I thought she loved me, Lena's voice broke. I thought I did too. But I was lost. I didn't know who I was anymore. I gave a dry laugh. And you figured finding yourself meant destroying me? Ethan, please, she said. We paid for it. Daniel lost his position last year. Our company's on the edge. We're barely holding on, Ava's brows furrowed. That's why you're here? You want our help? Daniel nodded stiffly. Your partnership could stabilize us. I wouldn't have come otherwise. I looked at him in disbelief. You betrayed me, stole my wife, and now you're asking me to save you? He winced. I'm asking you to see that people change. Do they? I asked. Or do they just get desperate? Lena's eyes filled with tears. You have every right to hate us. I'd understand if you did, but I wanted you to know we're sorry. Sorry doesn't fix what you broke, I said quietly. She looked down. No, it doesn't. The silence after that was suffocating. Ava shifted slightly beside me, her expression unreadable. Ethan, she said softly, you don't have to decide anything today. But I wasn't thinking about contracts anymore. I was thinking about the nights I'd spent alone, wondering what I did wrong. The years clawing my way out of the hole they'd buried me in. I'll think about it, I said finally. Daniel nodded, relief flickering in his eyes. Thank you. That's all I can ask, Lena whispered. You look stronger now. I had to be, I said. You made sure of that. She blinked rapidly, like she wanted to say more but couldn't. I hope you find peace. Peace? I repeated. That's not something you find. It's something you fight for. The meeting ended quietly. Papers were gathered, chairs scraped, goodbyes were mumbled. When the door closed behind them, Ava turned to me. You didn't tell me they were those people. I didn't expect them to be here, I said, rubbing my temples. She leaned against the table. That was intense. Understatement of the year, she hesitated. Do you want to talk about it? I exhaled slowly. They were my family, Ava, my whole world once. She nodded, understanding flickering in her eyes. And now? Now they're just ghosts wearing familiar faces. She crossed her arms. You could walk away. No deals, no contact. You don't owe them anything. I know. Then why hesitate? I stared out the window at the city lights, my reflection faint against the glass. Because part of me still wants them to feel what I felt. Every sleepless night, every second of emptiness. Her voice was soft. That's not peace, Ethan. That's poison. I'm aware. Then choose better, she said. You've already won. Don't let them drag you back. I wanted to believe her. But the bitterness ran deep, older than my success, older than the scars I carried inside. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The air felt heavy, like the past had crawled back under my skin. My phone buzzed around midnight. A message from Daniel. Thank you for not humiliating us today. I mean that. I typed a reply, paused, then deleted it. Sleep wouldn't come. My mind kept replaying Lena's trembling voice, Daniel's pleading eyes. They needed me now. The irony of it burned. Ava's words echoed in my head. You've already won. Maybe she was right. But victory felt hollow when the ghosts of your past still whispered your name. I got up, walked to the balcony, and watched the city hum below. Somewhere out there, they were probably doing the same, wondering if I'd save them, or finally let them drown. For a moment, I almost pitied them. Then I remembered how it felt to find that message on her phone, how it felt to lose everything I loved. The pity vanished. I whispered into the night. You wanted freedom. Now live with it. And as the wind carried my words away, I realized something. Revenge wasn't about destroying them anymore. It was about proving I'd already survived without them. I didn't have to lift a finger. The universe did it for me. It started with a headline, Meridian Dynamics under fraud investigation. I almost didn't believe it at first, until I saw Daniel's name plastered across every article. Ava looked up from her screen. Ethan, this is them, isn't it? Yeah, I said quietly. That's Daniel's company, she frowned. They falsified reports. Investors are pulling out. I nodded slowly. Karma moves faster than I thought. She studied me. How do you feel? I hesitated. Strangely calm. The next few days were chaos in the news cycle. Every channel, every feed, every post, Daniel Hale, Lena Hale, scandal, exposure, downfall. Their empire was collapsing piece by piece. Ava came into my office one morning. They're finished. Their accounts are frozen. Legal's moving in. I leaned back. Let it happen. You're not going to help? Help? I repeated with a bitter laugh. No, Ava. Some lessons can't be learned with mercy. She gave a small nod. You're not gloating. I thought I would, I admitted. But watching them fall doesn't make me feel powerful. It just reminds me how far I've come. That night, as the rain poured outside, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Ethan, the voice said softly. Daniel. I stood by the window, looking at the city lights. You shouldn't be calling me. I didn't know who else to call, he said. Everything's gone. You built your house on sand, I said. You knew it would crumble, he sighed shakily. You win, I let the silence stretch before replying. No, I said softly. You lost yourself. He didn't answer right away. Then, barely above a whisper. Do you ever think about the past? Every day, I said, but not with pain anymore. Just distance. I never meant for it to end this way. It ended the moment you lied, I said. Everything after that was just the consequence. He exhaled heavily. I'm sorry, Ethan. I know, I said. But sorry doesn't erase scars. It just proves you finally see them. I wish we could go back. So do I whispered. But we can't. There was a pause. Then he said, Goodbye. Goodbye, Daniel. The line went dead. I stood there for a while, listening to the rain hit the glass, feeling something between sadness and peace. Ava knocked gently. You okay? Yeah, I said. That was my brother, she tilted her head. Closure? Something like it, she stepped closer. You did the right thing. I just didn't interfere, I said. That's not virtue. That's restraint. Sometimes restraint is the highest form of strength. Her words lingered after she left. 2 weeks passed before the next call came. This time the voice was softer, fragile. Ethan, she whispered. Lena. I didn't know who else to talk to. I closed my eyes. Seems to be a pattern. Her breath hitched. I'm sorry. For everything. I lost the house. The company. I can't even afford a lawyer. You built your life on lies, I said quietly. Eventually they collapse. I deserve this, she said. But I needed you to know I never stopped thinking about you. Not once. That makes it worse, Lena. I know. She started crying softly. I hate what I did to you. I hate who I became. I stayed silent, listening to her break. Finally, she said, Do you hate me? I sighed. I did. For a long time. But hate doesn't heal anything. It just chains you to the past. Then you forgive me? She asked, her voice trembling. I forgive you, I said. But I'll never forget. Her sobs deepened. I don't deserve it. No one does, I said. But forgiveness isn't about deserving. It's about letting go. There was a long silence. Then she whispered, Thank you. Take care of yourself. Lena. Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye. When the call ended, I didn't feel triumph or vengeance, just quiet. Ava found me later on the balcony staring at the skyline. Another call? Lena, I said. She apologized. Yes, and you? I forgave her. She studied my face. You really mean that? I do. I don't need revenge anymore. I just need peace. Ava smiled faintly. You've changed. Maybe. Or maybe I just finally learned that letting go hurts less than holding on. She leaned against the railing beside me. So what now? Now? I said, watching the lights flicker across the city. Now I live. The night air was cool, the kind that made the world feel clean again. I thought of Daniel's broken voice, Lena's tears, and my own silence between them. Once I would have wanted them to suffer as I had. Now I just wanted to be free. The past had finally burned itself out. All that remained were ashes, and from ashes I'd built something stronger. Ava glanced at me. You're smiling again, I nodded. Feels different this time. How so? It's not relief, I said. It's release, she smiled. That's what peace looks like, Ethan. Maybe she was right. I looked up at the stars, faint against the city glow. For years I'd lived with ghosts, betrayal, anger, regret. Now there was only quiet, and for the first time in forever, the quiet didn't hurt. 3 years later, the world felt different. Maybe it was me who changed, or maybe peace just made everything quieter. Ava leaned over the balcony of our new apartment, overlooking the skyline that stretched like a promise. 3 years, she said, smiling. You finally slowed down, I laughed softly. Slowed down? My company just opened 2 new branches in London and Tokyo, she nudged me playfully. I said you, not the business. Fair, I said. Guess I finally learned that peace isn't the absence of work, it's the absence of chaos. She smiled, setting her coffee on the railing. You sound like Mrs. Gray. That made me pause. I got her letter today, Ava turned. She wrote to you? Before she passed, I said quietly. Her nephew found it among her things. What did it say? I took the folded paper from my pocket, the edges worn from being read too many times. Don't waste your peace chasing ghosts. Ava's eyes softened. She always knew how to say the right thing. Yeah, I murmured. She saw through people. Even me. The breeze picked up, cool and steady. For the first time in years, I wasn't haunted by the past. It was just still. Later that afternoon, I walked through the cemetery. The air smelled like rain, the grass damp beneath my shoes. I stopped by the familiar headstones. Mom, Dad, and now, Mrs. Gray not far from them. Hey, I said quietly, setting down a single white lily. You'd probably tell me I'm working too hard again. The silence around me felt comforting, not empty. I smiled faintly. Don't worry. I listen now. Sometimes. The sound of footsteps drew my attention. Ava had followed me, holding an umbrella. You should have waited. It's starting to rain. I don't mind, I said. She stood beside me, looking at the graves. You come here often? Once in a while, I said. Not out of grief. Gratitude, maybe, she nodded slowly. You survived, Ethan. Yeah, I whispered. What was meant to break me built me instead. We stood there quietly as rain began to fall, light and gentle. After a moment, I said softly, I forgive you both. Ava turned slightly. Who are you talking to? Them, I said, glancing at the empty air ahead. Daniel, Lena. I forgave them a long time ago. She said nothing for a while, just watched me with understanding eyes. You don't regret it? She finally asked. Forgiving them? I shook my head. No, their betrayal gave me freedom. I just didn't see it at the time. Freedom? Yeah, I said quietly. If they hadn't broken me, I never would have learned how to rebuild myself. I'd still be chasing validation, not peace. She smiled softly. You sound like someone who finally let the past rest. I buried it here, I said, glancing at the graves. And I'm not digging it up again. We started walking back toward the gate. Rain beaded on her hair, catching the gray light like tiny stars. She said, You ever wonder what they're doing now? Sometimes, I admitted. But not with anger. Just curiosity. Everyone faces their own storm eventually, Ava nodded. You faced yours. And came out clean, I said with a faint smile. Took a while, though. By the time we reached the car, the rain had turned into a drizzle. Ava handed me the umbrella. You always forget this. I like the rain, I said. Makes everything feel honest, she laughed. You're getting poetic in your old age. 35 isn't old, I said, pretending to sound offended. It is when you go to bed before midnight, she teased. I chuckled as we drove home. The windshield wipers beat a steady rhythm, like a quiet song that never ends. When we got back, I went to my study, the one lined with books, photos, and quiet memories. On my desk sat a framed picture, the team from my first office all smiling like we'd conquered the world. Beside it was a newer photo, Ava and me on the beach, wind in our hair, peace in our eyes. I picked it up and smiled. She walked in a moment later. Still working? Thinking, I said, about what? How lucky I am, I replied. Lucky? She said, raising an eyebrow. You built everything with your own hands. Maybe, I said. But peace isn't something you build alone. She leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. You're getting sentimental again. I earned the right, I said with a grin. She laughed softly. Fair enough. Come on, dinner's getting cold. I followed her into the kitchen, where the smell of roasted garlic and herbs filled the air. We ate together, talking about everything and nothing, the kind of quiet that feels full, not empty. After dinner, I stepped onto the balcony again. The city shimmered below, alive but calm. Ava joined me with 2 cups of tea. She handed me one. What are you smiling about now? Just thinking, I said. About? The life we built, I replied. It's simple, peaceful, everything I never thought I'd have. She rested her head on my shoulder. You deserve it, maybe, I said softly. But even if I didn't, I'm grateful for it. The night breeze carried faint sounds from the city, music, laughter, the hum of life moving forward. I used to think success would fix everything, I admitted. Turns out peace is the real prize, Ava smiled. You finally figured it out. Too bad it took half my life. Better late than never. I looked up at the stars. They'd envy this, you know. Who? Daniel and Lena, I said quietly. The life we have, it's the one they always dreamed of. Only we earned it honestly. She was quiet for a moment. Would you trade it for the past? Not for anything, I said. The past made me who I am. But this is living. I finished my tea, set the cup down, and exhaled slowly. Mrs. Gray was right, I whispered. No more ghosts. Just peace. Ava smiled, linking her fingers with mine. So what now, Mr. Hale? Now, I said, smiling back. We live the life they dreamed of. The wind carried the words away, and for the first time I felt truly free.